Hello and welcome to Community Conversations. I'm your host, Fremont Unified Superintendent Kim Wallace. While our families are busy preparing for the new school year, we'd like to focus today on another very special group getting ready for schools to open on August 28th. The Fremont Unified School District is very fortunate to work with the dedicated officers of the Fremont Police Department. For the 2019-20 school year, school resource officers will once again be assigned to campuses throughout the district for the safety and security of our students, staff, and community. With us today to discuss these school safety efforts are Fremont Police Chief Kimberly Pertersen and Captain Fred Bobbitt. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here today with us, and we're just going to talk a little bit about what you've planned for the school year and how we can continue to work in partnership like we have for so many years.
Excellent.
So tell us about how you prepare for the opening of school. We're always getting ready with our teachers and classrooms, but I know that you have probably simultaneous efforts that you're doing at the police department as school starts to gear up.
Right. Well, to start with, during the summertime, our school resource officers, they all attend the National Association of School Resource Officers Conference. That's part of their preparation. They're coming back just now from their school year. They're ramping up some of the training along the run, hide, fight lines. We have some officers here today at the office building updating some of your new teachers. And then our traffic team is really ramping up to be doing their traffic saturations like they do every year. Mm-hmm. We want to make sure that our traffic officers are out there at the schools for drop-off, for pickup, and then our patrol officers also supplement that every single day of the school year.
So we help you get really busy.
Absolutely, very busy making sure the students are safe, because obviously the students are the highest priority. Of course, public safety is what we do, but the safety of our students is really the number one priority for everybody.
Thank you.
And I would say year-round building those relationships. Sergeant Michael Rodriguez, who runs our SRO program, does a great job making sure that the SROs that will be assigned to schools are familiar with their sites. In the event that we might have an officer that might be moving from one location to another, making sure they're familiar with staff, that they understand the campus, and that they're just ready to go once school starts. So we always want to make sure that we're well prepared, well ahead of the start of the school year. So come first day, we're ready to go.
Great. And we've had a great long-standing relationship with our school resource officers, and so the Chief talked about a little bit of the training. Can you tell us what maybe some of the topics are that they got trained on this summer?
Yeah. So it's excellent. I mean, it's really focused. It's really focused on school safety. And when I say school safety, we talk about the incidents of active shooters, and not just active shooters, but any type of individual that might come onto the campus that might pose a threat. In addition to that, really focusing on the children that are at school, the students, making sure that they're safe, making sure they're paying attention to their needs. Because a lot of times, what we have continuously hear is how can we keep outsiders from coming onto the campus. But we also have to truly focus on making sure that everyone is safe that is currently at times on the campus as well. So the training is, there's a wide range of training, and it's always great that they can bring it back and also provide that training to staff at their quarterly meetings.
Right.
A couple things that the patrol officers do as well is they make sure that they are familiarized with the campuses that are in their location. Every other year, the patrol officers actually do a more formal tour of each of the high school campuses. And then just organizationally, we do annual tactical training. We do very large training days, often in combination with our partners in emergency response. So fire, ambulance, even the hospitals. We do very large trainings to make sure that we can approach any major violent event, regardless of where it happens, in a unified way. So we also do tactical training throughout the year at the patrol level.
Yeah, it's great. It needs to be a comprehensive approach because it's not just in isolation. There's all the partnerships that need to be in place.
Right, and you have to practice for those things before the event happens.
Right, exactly. So understandably, there's a pretty nationwide concern about some of the public shootings and mass shootings that have been happening over the summer. And how are you approaching just this phenomenon that's happening in our country?
Well, unfortunately, this is the new reality, and I think we all look back to kind of the Columbine era, 1999, and that really changed police tactics in general. Back in those days, and Fred and I were both working for the department back then. We were patrol officers at that time, and the tactics were different. At that time, you waited for your tactical teams to respond, and I actually happened to be on the tactical team at that time, but the thinking had to change, and we realized we couldn't wait for tactical teams to arrive because it could take a period of time for them, especially if people are responding from home. So we've really completely changed the understanding of how we need to approach these things. These are, of course, tactical events, but we don't wait for the tactical teams. We need to make sure all patrol officers, all investigators are prepared to enter in and stop the threat immediately. And that's how we approach it. Used to be you had to wait for an entire team, then it modified wait for 6 people, then down to 4, and then to pairs. But that's changed. Now we say, no, you have to, even if you're alone, you have to go in and stop the threat. And so the mindset for police officers has totally changed.
Right, because time is of the essence.
Yeah, you can't
right?
wait.
You
can't
have
wait.
to get in there immediately.
Yeah. And if you look at the studies, these things are mitigated by being confronted. And oftentimes it's not even the police officer. Oftentimes it's other adults stepping in and creating that first confrontation. And that is often the game changer and stops whatever is going on.
Right.
And the one thing I'd like to add is, with our SROs that are, assigned to each high school campus, if there were an event, they would respond right away. Like the chief mentioned, we don't wait for others to arrive on scene. So if an incident were to occur on a campus, that SRO would act right away.
Right.
And we've seen that, not going back too far, but the incident that we had back in October of 2014 at one of our campuses, the response via the SRO, and then with the additional resources that arrived. I mean, it's exactly.
And on our end, prevention and having those great connections with the police department and the relationship that the SROs build with our students and can have an understanding of maybe there's some things going on and have that almost sixth sense of what it is that might be transpiring before it even happens. And I think that that's probably what our best bet is to have as an approach, right?
Yes, and we can talk about that. Our SROs are outstanding. They are continuing to build relationships with the students as well as staff. And on a number of occasions, they have been approached by a student with concerns, maybe the concerns that that student has that they're dealing with, or something that they've heard.
Right.
We will always tell you, see something, say something.
Right.
And it's outstanding when we have students that feel comfortable approaching an SRO with their concerns, and we're willing to react right away.
Yes, and our students have been doing that with increasing frequency.
Absolutely.
And I'm really proud of them for that because they care about
Right.
the safety of each other and themselves as well.
Yeah, because often, people who do have violent intent will that will leak out in advance of the incident, and so, it's really incumbent upon the other students to help let us in on that, because obviously we're not, watching the Snapchat,
Right.
et cetera, that we don't have access to those things.
Yes.
So, but when they come forward with those things, we handle them very seriously.
Yes.
Every single one, we run those things to ground. We never set them aside. It's a really important piece of the puzzle.
Right. So we've got other programs that we partner other than the SRO program. Talk a little bit about what else we've done with outreach for the schools.
Well, what we're currently running right now is our Youth Academy, which is outstanding. It's students throughout the district, which has been outstanding for kids from whether it be Mission, Washington, Irvington, to be able to build relationships with kids from other schools. So that's a program that we run regularly during the summertime. In addition to that, in one of our really exciting programs, and this has allowed us to connect with students and staff at the elementary level, is the Building Bridges program. That's allowed us to really build relationships, patrol officers assigned to areas as well as supervisors, to build relationships with staff and the students, and to understand the campus. Where we spend time on all 26 campuses throughout the year. And it's a great program, and it allows the kids to, at that age, to become familiar with officers and comfortable with us.
Right.
We
Yeah.
also have a really strong Explorer post.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're over 20 students
Yeah.
at this point, and they just came back from their academy.
Mm-hmm.
We had a lot of success down at the annual Explorer Post Academy.
Mm-hmm.
We're also currently developing a cadet program, which will take the young adults, 18 up to about 22, 23, to really try and capture those. I call them kids, but really
Yes.
they're young adults who maybe have graduated high school but
Yeah.
are perhaps attending a Loney or other
Right.
nearby colleges, but who have an interest in law enforcement. So we're standing that up now. We think we'll have that up and running in about a year.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, we are always focused on career pathways for our students and for people to think about all possible opportunities.
Absolutely.
So it's really nice
Yeah.
that you've created that pathway
Yeah.
for them. So families probably approach you and just community members. What are the most frequent concerns or questions that you get about school safety or protecting their kids in Fremont?
I mean, I think the main one is really exactly the topic that we're talking about, is these mass shootings, because they do exist, they're real, the kids hear about them, they
Yeah.
know that they're happening, they're talking about it. We should keep in mind that while they are real, they are infrequent.
Right.
In 2018, there was 5 across the U.S. I don't know how many schools there are across the U.S., but I know that the chances of these happening in our schools, really, the reality is low. Despite that, we
Yeah.
should be prepared.
Right.
We need to be vigilant. We need the kids to be coming forward. We need to take any sort of threat seriously. And we need to prepare in advance. We need to talk about it.
Right.
You know, I think this Run, Hide, Fight
Yes.
program is really a good program. I think it makes a lot of sense. Part of it is just getting people to understand that the most important thing is to react.
Right.
So, you know, get away from the threat.
Right.
If you can't get away from the threat, then go ahead and hide or barricade.
Mm-hmm.
But really, if your life is in danger, it's empowering people to say you have to fight.
Right.
That, you know, you absolutely need to confront if you don't have the ability to get away. And so getting people in the mindset to
Yes.
react, to allow them to
Yeah.
make a plan.
Yeah, it's a huge shift from
Yeah.
how we were taught, even
That's
just a
right.
few years ago, right?
Yes, yes. And when parents, you know, will approach me and ask, you know, if this were to happen, what would you do as a department? And it's outstanding to be able to explain to them just how we would react. And, you know, after telling them exactly what we would do, they seem to walk away being pretty comfortable and understanding that their kids are safe.
Yes. Yes, because our primary purpose is to have a safe learning environment for our students and to have them not be thinking about anything related to their well-being, that they're taking care of at those very basic levels so that they can be open to whatever it is, the instruction that they're getting, because we're living in a different world than we have been, and we don't need any more things to distract our students from, you know, what it is that we are really here for, which is an education process.
Yeah, and we should keep in mind that really the things that are most dangerous to kids or adults as well is traffic accidents. 37,000 people a year die in traffic accidents,
Right.
and 1,600 of those are kids under 15. So that's that is really, you know, the area that people need to be focused on as we go back to school.
Right.
So a lot of that is pedestrians. You know, if your kids are walking to school, regardless what age, you know, if they're high schoolers walking to school, they need to not be distracted. They need to have their earbuds out of their ears, not looking at their phones.
Right.
And people need to understand that just because they're in a crosswalk or following the rule by crossing with the light, that doesn't mean they're impervious to being hit by a car. They have to be looking up, making sure they're making eye contact.
Right.
Just last year we had a death on our roadway involving a young man who stepped out in front of a car thinking, I'm in a crosswalk, I'm safe. And that's just not the case.
Right, because drivers, not only are kids looking at their devices, but drivers are looking at their devices. Every time I look around, I look at all the cars around me, I'm like, oh, everybody's looking on their device, even though they're not supposed to be. It just seems almost like a compulsion.
Yeah, and even though you might be following the rules, you know, when it comes to a car and a pedestrian, the car is going to win every time. So you have to, even if you're following the rules, be alert and be looking at those cars.
Right.
And we've trained all of our 6th graders, that's part of the curriculum, with traffic safety, and it's been outstanding. So.
Okay, well good. Yeah, I mean, it is a much more common incident that you're going to be out and about in traffic and trying to get to and from school or to and from work, and it's something that I think everybody needs to be paying attention to. And we tend to focus on the really high profile mass shootings at some
Right.
places, but there are a lot of local dangers that we probably
Right.
should be paying a little
It's
more
much,
attention
much
to.
more dangerous than a mass shooting, for sure.
Right, yeah. So anything else that you'd like to share about plans for the Fremont Police Department in the coming year?
Well, we've got, we just had a meeting yesterday. We've got a lot of change going on. Well, our number one goal right now is really just staffing, you know,
Okay.
recruitment, retention. We have, we're essentially rebranding. Law enforcement has become less and less popular, probably in part due to these violent
Yeah.
incidents.
Mm-hmm.
So we're really focused on that. We're focused on mitigating auto burglaries
Mhm.
right now. And then we've got a lot of other internal things going on. And external things. We're dealing with a lot of homelessness. That's in the news quite a bit now.
Mhm.
So those things are taking up most of our focus. And then just the everyday
Yes.
stuff. You know, people need help in the community. There is crime. Anywhere there's people, there is crime.
Yes.
So we're really focused on helping keep the community as safe as possible.
Well, we so value our partnership with you, and it's been great to have that long-standing tradition of communication and figuring out ways that we could work better together. And so I just say happy brand new school year to you and to us, and I look forward to our continued work.
And we
Great.
do as
Thank
well.
you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for joining us on Community Conversations. We are thrilled, as always, to be here with our friends from the Fremont Police Department, and we wish you all a great start to the school year.